Are you ready to scale and outsource your business?
Okay, let's go.
Welcome to the Outsourcing and Scaling Show. I'm your host, Nathan Hirsch, a show where we talk about everything Amazon, Shopify, e-commerce, and digital marketing. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Outsourcing and Scaling Show. I'm here with Kyle Lasota. Kyle, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing great. I'm excited to talk to you. We actually met at the rooftop in San Diego for traffic and conversion. So it's been a lot of fun getting to know you. And I know the audience will love to hear your story as well. For those of you that don't know, Kyle is all about video marketing and storytelling, really taking the internet by storm, generating over $30 million in sales from his videos, working with people like Sam Ubbin, Scott Oldford, Paul Getter, and many, many more. And he's on a mission to build the world's largest community of videographers. Kyle, we're going to talk all about that. Let's take a gigantic step back. I know you're still young, but what were you like growing up? Were you a rebel? Were you a straight A student? Did you know you wanted to be an entrepreneur?
I think I was always an entrepreneur. I didn't know what that meant. I was a little bit of a rebel. I actually got nominated for, I forget what it's called in high school. Like everyone gets nominated, like most likely to succeed, most likely to do this and that, and da-da-da. And mine was biggest rebel without a cause, ironically. And like my first venture was like selling muffins in front of Blockbuster. And then after that, I started selling Swishers to the kids who smoked weed because I had an older brother who could get Swishers and everyone wanted to smoke blunts. And then I got into throwing parties, and I threw this event. It was anything but clothes dance party. And my parents didn't know what that was. I just called it an ABC party. And they let me rent a venue, get an insurance policy, hire a DJ, hire bouncers, and do everything. And they just like co-signed on whatever needed to be co-signed. And I remember we sold the water for $2 a water inside, and it was $15 to $20 to get in. And I had my promoter friend like invite everyone. So the venue could only fit 200 people, and there was 300 people at the venue. So we had a line of 100 people out the door. And I remember walking away that night with $3,000 in cash.
Wow.
Profit. And being like, oh my God, and laying it out all on the table, on my kitchen table, like counting all my money. It looked like a drug scene from like a movie. And just being like, this is incredible. I felt this rush of just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I worked 2 jobs, which was at a lacrosse store because I was on the lacrosse team. And then I worked at Restoration Hardware my first summer back from college. And I remember I showed up late to work one day, and my boss was like, yeah, if you ever show up late again, like you're fired. And right then and there, I was like, okay, I'm never going to be in a position where someone's like telling this type of thing to me ever again. And I always had a problem with authority and all these different things. The classic entrepreneur beginnings, I guess.
I love it. I remember talking on the roof. You're like, I have a weapon, and the video camera is my weapon. How did you get to that point where you? Yeah, walk us through that. Why the video camera? How did you learn to do what you do?
Yeah, so in high school, I took photography because it was just an easy class, and I heard it was fun. So when I got into it, I started enjoying it. I started really liking making photos, and then for my senior project, I was in AP photo, which is a thing, I guess. And I made a video. It was like a rap music video about the AP photo class. I did it with a couple of friends, and it was really fun. And in middle school, I was always making videos with my brothers and his friends, and I was the one who would edit it on iMovie, and I got suspended from school because I was like, did some inappropriate stuff and editing like on my school computer. And I don't know, there was something about making videos and creating that always, like, I lost myself in it, and I always had a talent for it. And it always like the rhythm thing it made sense to me. And so when I was applying to go to school, I decided, I'm not going to do business because that seems like a cop-out to just get a business degree. Like, you can't learn business in school. Intuitively, I already knew that. And then I was like, what am I never going to get bored of? And like the only thing that I knew where I could just do it on and on and on and on was like videos. So I applied to film school. I got into one. I went there. It was Colorado, CU Boulder. And then I studied film and entrepreneurship at this school. But the problem with the film school is I never really learned much like about actually making stuff. It was all film studies, film history, all this stuff that was irrelevant to me. All I wanted to do was pick up a camera and start making stuff. Then I saw some stuff happening with the people who had gone through the film program, and they were all broke. You know, like the guy who was developing my film for one of the projects I was working on was a film major at CU. My teacher was a film major at CU. And I started seeing this pattern of like, okay, all these filmmakers, they don't have any money. And that's why they're a teacher. That's why they're working at the, you know, the camera store or like whatever. So I said, I need to figure out business, and then I'll go back into video. It's 50% business, 50% talent. So went into network marketing, learned about sales, personal development, all this stuff. I sold like and recruited 1,000 people into my organization in 8 months with the help of a friend of mine. And I was just like on cloud nine. I was like, oh my God, this like sales thing, this business thing, this is like where I belong. And then I dropped out of school, quit the network marketing company because I got a job in investment banking. And I thought like, if I go to investment banking, I'm a good salesman, I could make a lot of money like really fast. And I also thought at the time I wanted to raise money for a company, and like I wanted to see what it was like on the other side. And that was horrible. You know, like working at an investment banking firm is like, I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemies. And, and I did it for 6 months, worked at 2 different firms. And the short story of the long story is when I quit that firm, I was looking for opportunity. I met a friend. He was making a bunch of money online, and he said, come out to Miami, come learn how to do this, and you can run our company. Basically, he had this media company. It was like clickbaity stuff on Facebook where he was buying likes on fan pages and then sending traffic to the site and making money through ads. And it was when organic reach on Facebook was like huge. Right. So I learned how to do copywriting, and I started writing headlines, and I got really, really good at it. All of a sudden now I'm making money online. I'm driving all this traffic, and it's working. And I did that for like 2-3 years. Every single day I wrote headlines. I wrote like 6 to 8 headlines every day for like 2 or 3 years. And then another company hired me as a consultant to start writing copy for them. And then like Russell Brunson heard about me, and then he hired me to write the headlines for his book, Expert Secrets. And like my copywriting career, I guess, just sort of started taking off. The only problem is I had left this whole like filmmaking thing in the background. And the stuff that I was doing, I was making money, but it was starting to not feel very good. Like my awareness around the impact and ramifications of like the stuff that I was writing and like what it meant to me and its effect on other people started seeping in. But I kept ignoring the voice because I was so focused on just making the money. And yeah, I was scared of like taking a chance on myself and going for the video thing. That all came to a head, and I got really stressed out. I was writing 100 headlines a day. I was making more money than I knew what to do with at the time, but I was working myself into the ground, and I was doing something that I didn't enjoy. Also, I was going out a lot. I was drinking. I was mistreating my body, and then I burned, man. Like I started having panic attacks. I started having anxiety attacks. I started having stomach problems, skin problems, like all these weird symptoms that were seemingly related, but also were seemingly unrelated, but also happening at the same time.
Right.
And no doctor could tell me what was going on. My immune system was going down. Like all this weird shit was happening. And then it blew up. You know, I was like, okay, I can't take this anymore. I broke the lease on my apartment, my brand new apartment in Newport Beach that I just moved into. I left those companies and I moved back in with my grandma to heal and to rediscover what it is that I need to do. And somewhere in my journey, I just read somewhere online that the reason why I was experiencing all those health challenges and symptoms was because I wasn't, quote unquote, following my purpose. And so I knew as soon as I read that, I was like, okay, I have to pick up a camera. So I picked up a camera, I started making videos, and I landed my first client. But I had to position things in a way where it was like high ticket and it was specialized so that I didn't get commoditized like the other videographers. Because I knew if I was like traveling like crazy and like I had too many clients, then it would become really stressful and it would hurt my health in the way that I had become sensitive. So that's kind of how I got into video. And then from there, it was just like, you know, when you're filled and driven through something that you believe is your purpose, like God in the universe is on your side and like everyone is rooting for you. And so like, I had all sorts of types of favor, you know, like things would just line up for me. I'd get this one client, that client would lead to all these other clients. That client, you know, my very first client ended up making over $30 million just with the videos that we did together. So that's only one client, you know, and that's only the stuff that I can track. And I just have been very humbled over the course of the journey of people receiving the work that I do, the art that I create, and actually having it work from a marketing context as well. And yeah, it's just been this ever evolving journey of like finding the right mentors, lowering my stress, getting my health back in check, and also like doing work that fills me up and hopefully inspires people to do something great.
First of all, thanks for sharing that story. That was very powerful. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs can relate, just being stressed and having that affect their health and maybe making some bad decisions, but then seeing you recover from it is awesome. Talk to me about your style of videos that you produce. I've seen your videos. They're awesome. I'm not a videographer. It's tough for me to put them into words. What type of style do you go for? What do you call it?
Yeah, I haven't coined this term, but it's a term that I use a lot, which is like I call it the emotional story selling. And it's basically like this hero's journey of the entrepreneur. And it's them telling their why and articulating a message that is embedded with that why about their journey as an entrepreneur and the real reason behind why they do what they do. And we use that strategically to enroll our ideal client into our product or our service or our programs or whatever it is. And then in addition to that, we also do like some positioning stuff to make the entrepreneur like look like the top expert in this space based on their unique value proposition and also their way of seeing the world, right? Their perspective on the market. And I think that the best products in the world usually have the worst marketing, right? Because all their time is being spent on the product, and their business only grows as a product of their focus on the product. And so something that's sort of a hidden agenda of mine is to find these products that are the best products in the world and help tell the story of those products or of those entrepreneurs to get those out to the world. Because if they had good marketing, there would be Fortune 500 companies, you know, like the reason why a product like Apple is so amazing is because, or it's like the company is so big and it's so successful is because the product is amazing. Like iPhone is just an amazing product, right? Like Apple computers, they're amazing, right? And then the marketing is on point. Like the branding is dialed in. They tell the story so well. So hence you have an amazingly successful company. And I know that there are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not maybe even millions of companies out there that are amazing products, amazing services, but they maybe just don't have they're not telling the story the right way. They're not positioned the right way. Or the brand, the quality of the brand is just, it doesn't look that aesthetically good. And so the videos that I help people create are, okay, let's make everything look really good. So cinematic, you know, let's position it well. Let's make sure the message is dialed in. And then also it has to be authentic to who you are, what you stand for, and what you're trying to create in the world so that you feel represented, you feel seen, and that your perfect customer, the person that you've created this product for, when they see that story, when they see that message, when they see that video, it's just like, I I have to buy this. I don't know why, but I have to buy this because it's resonating on like a deep soul level of like, ooh, just in it, you know? And I guess that's a long-winded way to describe it.
No, I love it. Can you talk a little bit about the process? I remember I saw Andrew Crazy, which I believe you did some work for. I saw in his story, he had some videos of you doing some different filming. And what does that process look like? I'm assuming you sit down and meet with them and you fly out to them and eventually there's editing involved. Can you walk people through what that whole process looks like from a creative standpoint?
Yeah, so it's funny how, you know, the parts of our journey sort of somehow, like you can't connect the dots, like looking back. And I think me going into copywriting, me learning about marketing and messaging and all this stuff, getting people to click, getting people to convert, really has set me up to really serve my clients in an amazing way. So I take a copywriting approach to how I work with my clients, meaning we reverse engineer the story that needs to be told based on the data that we collect from their avatar of their ideal client. So we do a deep dive into their avatar. You know, you may think you know your perfect customer, and then you sit in a room with me, and then you have a whole nother level of understanding of who you actually want to serve. Because right. If you had 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 perfect dream customers, I'm sure your life would look a lot different than it does right now. Because a lot of times we get customers, they're not always perfect, they're not always ideal. But what if we could craft a message? What if we could tell a story that speaks exactly to that person that we love and get lit up by? And so that's the first step is like, okay, let's get clear on this perfect customer avatar thing. Then that gives me the data that I need to then bring the right questions into the interview. Once you give me the data, you don't need to do anything. We just need to meet. The first day we sit down, we do an interview, and I have the questions in my head based on the process that we went through in the beginning. I ask you the questions, so it's just a conversation. Then we have that conversation. I know that there are certain elements of a story that need to be incorporated in order for the story to be effective. The elements that I use are the dream, the setup, the fall, and the resolution. If we have those 4 components, we know that we can have a good story. The dream is, you know, I wanted to be a videographer. The setup was that I found out all videographers were broke, so I went into business. The fall was all of a sudden I started having health problems and the panic attacks and everything was falling apart. The resolution was I picked up a camera and I started telling stories and making videos, and then I healed, right? So I use that framework just in the last couple of minutes where I told my story, and that's how I look at it with every other entrepreneur that I work with. It's just, let's get the right data, then let's create these components within the story that already exists within you, and I'm going to pull those out. And then the rest of the time we'll go shoot some ads and we'll go create some retargeting assets so you don't have any holes in your funnel. And then the next day is like B-roll. So we go shoot a bunch of cinematic B-roll that visually represents the story that you told. And then we place that B-roll on the top of the story. And there we go. We have a beautiful emotional storytelling package that it makes you omnipresent. It helps you connect with your audience. It's going to increase your show-up rates on your sales calls and your conversions on the back end. And it's also going to build brand awareness in a way that moves the mission forward and enrolls other people into it. And it's just like, I kept developing it like over time. Like at first it was just like, okay, just a story video. And then it's like, well, like I would work with a client and not enough people would see the story. So I'd be like, okay, now we're doing a Facebook ad. But then like, I'm like, but you don't know if that Facebook ad is going to convert. So let's do like 9 different split tests. And like, no matter what, you're getting traffic to this video. Right. And then after that, it was like, yeah, you're getting traffic to the video, but your numbers could be like increased along the sales funnel. So like, let's increase the conversions. Let's make you omnipresent by creating some retargeting ads. So anytime someone falls into your funnel, they don't fall out, right? They come back in and we become like meta famous to our perfect customer. And then with all these things in place, then we sequentially have like we have wholeness in our marketing, right? There's no gaps. We got the front end, we got the middle of the funnel, and we got the back end. And it slowly evolved into this process of like, how do I deliver so much value that for my ideal client, and like when we get on a sales call, it's just like, and I tell them the price, it's just like, that's it. Like for that much value, that's how much it costs. Like it should be so lasered in that, like my ideal client should be throwing my credit card or throwing their credit card at me. And that's what I've been trying to develop. And that's what I've actually feel like I've come to now. When I meet the right person, when they see what my offer is, when they see how I can help them, it's just like, let's go.
I love it. You obviously have met a lot of videographers. Where do you think they go wrong in the process? Because you mentioned it a lot that they're broke or they're struggling, and you've obviously had a lot of success. I mean, you've seen a lot of videos. Where do they go wrong?
Yeah. There's two big ones actually. Number one, the video either like it looks really good, but the message isn't dialed in. And the other one is the message is dialed in, but it doesn't look very good. So we want both. And they also get it wrong in the sense that they don't understand how to solve people's problems, right? Like they're just trying to push their agenda, which is I want to make videos. Like, but when you have a client, you know, you need to think about like what their needs are. And so it's like when you're a videographer and you're working with clients, it's like, it's not about you. It's about you when you go off and make your own stuff, right? Like that's your time to like be creative and all this stuff. But when you're working with a client, they are hiring you to solve their problems, and that's it.
I love it. So this is the Outsourcing Scaling Show. I want to talk a little bit about hiring. When I met you on the rooftop, you were like, you know what, I'm ready. I got to start delegating if I want to scale this thing. And I was like, hey, I'll give you some free hours. I know you've kind of gone through the VA process for the first time. Talk to me about that, because I feel like just the mentality that you have to delegate is something that not a lot of entrepreneurs get to or really realize or take control of.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm in a really unique scenario in the sense that like with all the health stuff going on and with the type of lifestyle that I'm trying to create, I just came to the realization that like my new definition of business is you don't have a business if it doesn't make money when you're not there. Right. So I have just been going through this paradigm shift of like letting go of everything. Like I'm really on a mission to actually eliminate all my work. Like I'm on a mission to only work an hour a week. And I'm pushing my belief of like finding meaning inside of my business and searching for meaning outside of my business, which is really counterintuitive to what a lot of entrepreneurs say and think and believe. And I am a contrarian. And so I believe that if everyone is saying one thing, then I should do the other thing, right? Or do the opposite. And so if everyone says you should like build this business, like, or you find your purpose in your business and your mission, I'm going to say the opposite. I'm going to say, no, that's actually your business is just a vehicle there for you to make money. And it's up to you to then, once you get on the other side of what it means to be financially free, then you are open to what is possible. But until you get on the other side of that, then, you know, I think you're clouded by cognitive biases. So my decision to start hiring people is like, okay, if I'm truly committed to only working 1 hour a week, then some things need to change. Number one, I need to start systematizing everything, and I need to start tracking everything. I need to start documenting everything, and I need to start making training so that I can bring someone on to take on this position. And it started off with me hiring someone to map out all my systems. So now I have everything is like, it's so clean, but like anytime I have a sales funnel, someone fills out an application through Schedule Once, that goes to Asana. That goes to a custom CRM that's built in Asana, who it automatically gets assigned to someone. In the future, it will be a salesperson. And then once that person gets sold, they get tagged in an operations thing inside of Asana, which gives a drop-down menu with a checklist with every single step of the project management laid out with all the resources, all the documents, every single piece of the business and steps that need to be taken in order to move the client down the process of our fulfillment is all laid out. Then like once that I built that out, I was like, okay, this is great. I have the systems, but I was still doing all the work. I was so overwhelmed. I'm like, now I need to hire someone to work the system. Right? So the first step is to map everything out. Then the second step is to put someone in to run through it to see if it actually functions and works when you're not doing it. And then with the feedback of that person, you can refine it and get it better and better and better to the point where someone else can do it without you. And the first step for me was like, okay, I need to just get the basic level stuff that I hate off my plate so that I can start focusing on the higher level stuff that's going to move the needle forward towards getting to this 1 hour a week work week, right? And so the first step is like, for me, it was like admin, social media, project management, all the back end stuff that really doesn't fit my personality type, which is front end, like sales, marketing, client management, and like the actual like strategy of the actual fulfillment. So admin was first thing. I met with you, Nathan. You said, yo, I got this thing. You can hire someone. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. This is scary for me, but I'm going to do it anyway because I know it's necessary. It's going to be painful. No, it's not going to be perfect, but I got to get her in there. And so, yeah, I went on FreeUp. I hired this kick-ass VA named Orvi who just like, I sent all my applicants a test to basically make me like a daily brief for all my KPIs, all my messages, I would consider it like the pulse page of my business, all the key metrics that are important for me to keep an eye on. And she just like blew it out of the park with like the level of detail that she went to. And I was like, okay, she's got this level of detail and this level of like admin skills, then this is the one. I chose her, and now I've been training her on how to build standard operating procedures from a Loom video that I make, which is just a software where I record videos to make a training. So now anytime I'm doing something during my day-to-day work, I'm recording it on Loom as a training video, and then I'm archiving it, and then I'm going to send it to her where she can then write out a standard operating procedure for it, and then she can put it in what's called a playbook. A playbook is like a master spreadsheet that houses all your documents, all your resources, and anything that anyone on your team could ever need is all in one place. And it's like, it's crazy integrated. It sounds complex, but it's amazing. And that's where I'm at right now is I've gotten to the point where I can send her a Loom video. She can write a procedure that's so detailed that someone who's not in my company, who doesn't even know how to do any of the technical stuff, if they could come in and we'll go through this procedure and they could actually execute the procedure themselves without any prior knowledge, training, or experience. And that's the level of detail that I'm going to. And that's what my assistant is helping me do. And then once those are mapped out for all the stages of my business, then you hire an editor, then you hire an assistant videographer, then you hire a project manager, and then it's boom, it's done.
I love it. What have you learned just from working with a VA in the first time? I'm assuming that's the first time you worked with a Filipino VA. Were there any lessons along the way?
Yeah, like over communicate is the first thing that comes to mind. Like definitely over communicate, double check and confirm that they understand like what you're asking of them. Make sure that they're set up for success. So like when I first hired mine, it forced me to put a lot of stuff in place. And I don't think that's the best practice. I think you should have some stuff in place, have a plan to how to onboard them, set expectations really well from the beginning. Let them know like when you want them to be available, when you won't need them to be available, and just be really clear about what the outcomes are that you're looking for and how you want to develop the working relationship. What type of, I would say the biggest lesson is just really taking the time to understand yourself and understanding what are your needs that may be totally unrealistic. And also like, what are the things that you just like are inside your head that aren't actually out there on paper that you do without even thinking about it, but would need really, really, really proper explanation for someone to understand.
Kyle, this has been awesome. I think you've provided a lot of great information for the audience. Is there anything else that you want to share, maybe for the video editors out there that are listening, or videographers, or maybe other clients in the space? Anything that we didn't cover?
Yeah, with videographers, I would just say double your price, whatever you're charging. And then number two would be pick a niche and then go deep within that niche. And I would create an offer that's productizable, meaning like you can repeat it over and over and over again. Like you can turn it into a system. The problem with most videographers is that they're freelancers and they're doing everything for everyone under the sun. And you need to go from being a generalist to being a specialist. And when you become a specialist, then you can raise your prices. Then your clients will be really happy. Then people will seek you out instead of you seeking them out. And then as far as like just business owners and entrepreneurs go, I would say I love this question by Tim Ferriss, which says, "What if you did the opposite for 48 hours?" So if you have a way of doing things, what if you did the complete polar opposite for 48 hours? And I think that deep questioning process is like really will help create leaps and bounds for your happiness, for the business growth, for everything that you're trying to achieve. Is just like asking better questions of like, how can I have my cake and eat it too? Like the first question for me was like, how do I have a videography business that doesn't kill me, and isn't stressful? And the way that I did it is just by asking that question, and then the answers appeared.
I love it. Kyle, where can people find out more about you, and what are you most excited about for the rest of the year?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, Kylegotcamera or the Gotcamera crew. So I'm really excited about this community that I'm building of videographers called the Gotcamera crew. And I'm essentially teaching them how to grow their business and all the stuff that I've learned along the way. And the goal really, like you said in the beginning of the episode, was to grow the largest, most engaged community of videographers in the world so that we can all create for ourselves and for fun. But you can only do that if you have the money and you have the time. And I want that for you. And I also want that for myself. It's very selfish because creating for yourself is great, but creating by yourself can get lonely. So I want people to create with. So in order to do that, I got to help everyone rise. So there's a Facebook group. Join the Facebook group.
Guys, check out what Kyle's up to. Join the Facebook group. Kyle, I'm excited to work with you. I love working with you. I'm excited to see what you're up to for the rest of the year. And thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Did you enjoy this content? If so, click like, leave us a comment, and subscribe to our channel so we can continue bringing you great content all about hiring.